This is not a bashing. This is me being a problem solver type of person that I am. I like solving problems. How to retain drivers and reduce driver turnover. Reduce driver turnover by actually having an environment that demonstrates the trucking company cares about the driver. You know, don't just look at drivers as a way to produce or create profit for the trucking company. So actually listen to them, take suggestions on how to make the company, your company, better. Pay attention to their needs, home time, and this, that, the other. Now, I'm not saying give in to irrational drivers that have a unreasonable expectation of what a trucking company should be. I'm not saying that. But you start off in the right way, for one. And let's start with that. You should not allow your company to hold on to recruiters who will lie to drivers to get them in the door. I mean, that's ridiculous. You're asking for drivers to be unhappy by doing that. So a driver should be given accurate information about what to expect at that company. He should know, he or she should know how that company operates, how much, how, based on where that driver lives, how easy is it for them to get home or not, how much the trucking company wants the driver to get home, how often, how frequent, how long they're going to be at home. Be upfront for how the trucking company wants to operate. And that way you'll have drivers that's compatible for the way the trucking company operates. Now, in addition to giving accurate information, there should be a certain attitude of the recruiter. And we still talking about personal development. You'll hear me talk about personal development a lot. But if you value that, then you're going to end up with the right type of environment. So you pick good recruiters. You get the right type of people to deal with drivers, dispatchers, driver managers. Those people need to have the right type of mindset. They need to care, all through the different positions in your company. You need to have people in place that care about the company, that care about human beings. So it starts with themselves. They need to have some self-respect and therefore care about the drivers as well. Treat the drivers with respect. Have some moral ethics, some standards, good work ethic. So a person that you employ at your company should have all of these characteristics. And if you do that, then, and also when you hire the driver, you should aim to hire drivers with those same values and characteristics. Because then you have then you create a company that is also good for the customer. So now we have a better reputation. Your company has a better reputation. The trucking industry has a better reputation. Now, how do you go a step beyond? Because you want to have the right environment. You want to have good drivers. You want to have drivers that's compatible for how your trucking company operates. You want to have drivers with the right attitude and good work ethic so that the company is solid and have good relationship with shippers and receivers. Now, you also want to, in my opinion, go beyond the standard. If that's the standard and that's normal, then how are you standing out from other trucking companies for the driver? By doing that, you're already going to stand out. But if I get my wishes and that becomes the standard for other trucking companies, now you're just average. So don't operate in that way. So what else can you do? Personal development. So how about having some training available once a month maybe at the company that is going to talk about finances, that's going to talk about health, that's going to talk about relationships. You see what I'm saying? Provide these classes and this training to your drivers Now that's going a step beyond. Obviously you don't have to do that, but here's what unofficially I do: consult businesses and people who run the businesses. I made a CD in 2010, during the recession thing, or 2009, talking about boosting your business. And one part of it is talking about using the internet, but another part is talking about mindset and ways you can deal with your employees, the type of environment and culture at the business in order for growth, as opposed to manipulating your employees and trying to get them to do what you want using fear. That's ridiculous. That's not a stable work environment. That's a high stress work environment. So suppose you instead implemented training, life training and personal development as part of your culture at your workplace. Now you got a different type of workplace. The people who work for you actually feel like you care about them. They feel like part of a family, part of a team. And now they enjoy being where they are. They're proud to work at their company. You see? It doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. You'll have people that will be willing to come in and give some classes for a small amount, and in some cases free. If you have employee meetings, you should have someone there to talk about attitude, talk about how to be healthy on the road, but more deep, why it matters. There's a connection. All things are connected. What sense does it make to ignore your health and you're out here running hard to save up a nest egg or invest for the future or save for retirement? What sense does it make to ignore your health if you're running and that's part of your goal? It doesn't make sense not to have health goals, you see? But that's not how we were taught. You can change that. And make sure drivers are more mindful of that. What ways can you cope with stress? You know what I'm saying? So you can have classes for, first talk about coping with stress, acknowledging that stress is a part of everyday life, is especially a part of trucking. You're going to encounter different situations. And so what ways can you deal with it? So in addition to those classes, so you can start off with introductory, and then so to help drivers grow in this area, also once a month we're going to start having meditation training or yoga training, teaching you how you can use meditation while being a driver. All of this stuff, man, this stuff does not cost an arm and a leg. And you can have a person at the company trained in these areas, and that be the person who puts on these monthly driver training meetings. You see? So it's looking at the bigger picture and thinking outside of the box and just figuring out how to make the culture and environment what you want, not just automatically dismissing it as an expense that's not going to benefit the company. If you have drivers with a more positive attitude and are more mindful about their thoughts and more intentional about having better thoughts and being proactive in how they parent and how they take care of their health and how they set aside money, handle their finances. If you have a driver who is strong in these life skills, you got a better driver. A better quality person means a better driver, a safer driver. Make sense? And what you end up with is a company whose culture produces a situation that drivers are happy. And guess what? Now you don't have to spend as much money advertising. Not only do you have lower turnover, you don't have to spend money on getting new drivers, because those drivers are going to do marketing and advertising for you as they talk good about the company, telling other drivers about the company. Be the first, man. Be the first company. I'm not saying that there isn't a company out there that's using some of these ideas, but it's not widespread, I tell you that. So by you stepping out there and thinking about these things and making it a part of your organization, then you stand out among other trucking companies, and you'll see your turnover rate being reduced. Well, I went so far into that aspect of it. It's simple. I guess I dwelled on that because it's common sense and simple. It should be anyway. Compensate your drivers fairly. Compensate them for being detained. Pay them properly for the miles they run. Pay them for the stuff that they do. A lot of times, a lot of things that is basically extra and may not be offered compensation for it. Be that company that compensates them. And but that's easy to figure out. You already know that. You already know that. It's just that you have leverage, and since you have leverage, then you don't do it. So you already know that. And for the company who will compensate drivers, then you'll retain drivers better. And remember, this is not a bashing. This is me being a problem solver type of person that I am. I like solving problems.